Weaver joining you here from Charlotte, North Carolina, and welcome into the world of eNASCAR. We're going to recap all things, and this is going to be a heck of a show for you guys. We have John Hunter Nemechek joining us. We also have Mojo, the WWE superstar, who's going to be the Grand Marshal for Sunday's race at Bristol, and he's hyped up. Then we're going to have Evan Posocco join us, and he's going to be all of the inside information on iRacing and what's been going on in the world of esports coming up this week. But now, first, we have to talk about our own record that we broke, the most watched esports program in television history. We broke it from Homestead Miami Speedway to last Sunday's race at Texas Motor Speedway. So let's check out all of the action from Texas.
We're racing in Texas.
Goes wide through 1 and 2. Oh, looks like he and Ryan Blaney make contact. Cars spinning around, flipping through the air. A bunch of cars came to a stop. You can see Smithley got a bit of a run. Maybe had to check out. Now Alfredo goes to the inside. Somebody clips him in the right rear and spins him around. Woo! I'm dizzy from that ride. Now it looks like Chase Elliott is going wide as William Byron takes the lead back with those 4 fresh tires. Oh, we got Dale Earnhardt Jr. having an issue. Is that a tire issue? Well, I don't know. It just looked to me like maybe that car was tight. He was a little bit further back in some dirty air. It looked like he tried to hold it closer to wide open, and the car just got a little bit wide. Is he using too much of those right side tires up? Oh, he's got an incident there going into turn 3. So here's the 96 in the black car. Ooh, wow,
What?
he was definitely going for it, trying to wreck him. I don't think he succeeded.
Little bump there going into 1.
Here comes another bump.
Moves him up the hill.
And
And Timmy Hill takes the lead.
no,
And Kligerman gets it. And Preece gets a shot down pit road. Keeps his foot in it.
Oh, the caution is out.
Oh,
Smithley not able to get to that inside lane.
Timmy Hill trying to give the field the goodbye look.
Maybe that can give him the momentum he needs to possibly get side by side with Timmy Hill.
Into turn 4 for the final time. Preece inches away. Looks to the inside. Contact. Timmy Hill.
Wow.
Gets his 674th career iRacing win.
Another really close finish right at the line, just like last week.
We are now going to be joined by John Hunter Nemechek. John Hunter, you had quite the day at Texas. You had a 8th place finish, which I know that that's not good in your mind. You want to be in victory lane, but for guys that haven't necessarily had the experience on iRacing, what's it been like for you just to hop on there and at least have some sort of racing to do on Sundays?
Yeah, it's definitely an experience, and anytime that we're able to get seat time and be able to race against each other and be able to be competitive, it's definitely a lot of fun. I think the coolest thing from our sport, NASCAR, is we're able to go virtual and be able to race against each other online and still have racing on Sunday. But from not racing iRacing the past few years quite a bit to having to jump on a couple days before our first race, and then last week it was nothing but running races all week and practicing trying to get good for Texas. And it definitely shows the more time that you spend on there, the better off you are. So this week has definitely been a lot of the same stuff, but it's been a blast. It's really cool to see how everyone came together during these difficult times, and our fans are still out there able to support us through watching on TV and the broadcast through iRacing.
It's allowed for drivers that have some experience in iRacing. Names like Timmy Hill and Garrett Smithley have gotten a lot more recognition as well. Timmy Hill coming away with the win. I want you to talk about that. And every driver's been involved in a little bump and run. Do you think that the bump and run he pulled on Willie B was fair?
I mean, I'm sure that he knows that he has one coming. It's definitely a lot of fun, and we're all there to try and win. And you don't know how much is too much, I guess, when you're racing online. What it's actually going to do, if it's going to spin somebody out or whatever it may be. So it's a learning process for all of us on the bump and run online racing on iRacing. But at the same time, Timmy has had a lot of experience, so he probably knew exactly how much to hit him without wrecking him. I don't think Willie B spun out, but I'm not positive on that. So I'm sure Willie B has that in the back of his mind, and he will be coming for Timmy this coming weekend at Bristol.
Yeah, that was one of the only times I've ever seen William get on Twitter and actively say that he was a little frustrated and that he maybe have one coming back for Timmy. But we'll see. You mentioned Bristol Motor Speedway and that short track. This is the first short track that we've ran with iRacing now in the Pro Invitational Series. What do you expect? Because Bristol in real life is nuts. So is iRacing going to be a little crazy too?
I definitely think so. I've run quite a few races on iRacing this week in the Xfinity car and the Cup car and the truck. So it's definitely been a lot of fun. Some of them have been a lot of wrecks and a lot of chaos, but other races have gone green the whole time. So I think it really depends on how aggressive we are. We're able to move each other out of the way, but Bristol is known for the bump and run. So how many bump and runs will you see this weekend? Whether it's going to be multi-groove or one line up against the top, I'm not exactly sure. So I'm looking forward to this weekend, putting in a lot of practice, as I know all the other guys are as well, and hopefully it'll be a good showing.
How many cautions do you think, John Hunter? Do you think it's a lot? Because I think it's a lot.
Yeah, we're going to go over-under on this one. I'm going to say it's going to be at least 10 or 12 cautions this weekend.
See, you're being a little nice. I think it's going to be way over 10.
If it is, we need to come up with a bet or something for us to put into place.
Yeah, we will. Okay, well, good luck. I'm going to let you go back and practice and get ready for Bristol, but good luck this Sunday. We'll be watching.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
So we saw what we can expect from this Sunday's race, but we also got a preview on Tuesday night from the Coca-Cola iRacing Series. They raced at Bristol Motor Speedway on Tuesday. I'm going to welcome in now the voice of iRacing and my friend Evan. Evan, we have to talk about the insane race because there was a lot of late cautions. Ryan Luza gets his second win in a row, and can this be kind of what we're gearing up for Sunday?
I think that's an understatement because we really weren't sure what we were going to see on Tuesday. Because as we mentioned on the broadcast, Bristol's a track that can get messy really quickly. So we hadn't seen this track on our Coke Series schedule, for like 7 years. It ran back in 2010 and 11, and we brought it back last year for the fall night race. And it only had 5 yellows. So we thought going into Tuesday, maybe this is going to be a nice clean race. We're going to mind their P's and Q's. It did not really happen. We did see some good green flag racing in the middle, but in true Bristol fashion, there was a lot of chaos mixed in as well.
So what were some of the highlights of those races? Because I know that we pinned some of them to NASCAR.com, but walk us through what the exciting moments of that race were.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about traffic being a big issue, and that was kind of a problem that your race leaders had to deal with all day. Not only just trying to navigate them, and at one point Michael Conti lost the race lead because he got stuck in traffic, but Graham Boland was leading in his number 18 JGR machine. There was a wreck in front of him. He was collected in that incident. That ended his night. I mentioned Michael Conti, him and his Junior Motorsports teammate, Brad Davies, they did really good all night. Of course, Ryan Luza ran really well, and Luza would go on to get the race win. And if that name sounds familiar and you listened in with us maybe a few weeks ago, of course, he won our Coca-Cola iRacing Series race at Homestead just a few weeks ago as well. Ryan's won 2 of the first 4 races in every season he's competed in this series. So no shock that he got the job done. Like I said, he's really good at it. It was a crazy race. I mean, he had to survive that. He was able to kind of work up through traffic. It's funny because we say at Bristol, track position's important. Only 2 of the top 15 cars at the end of the race actually started top 10. So I think it actually came a little bit more down to you needed the speed, sure, but you needed to be able to avoid the chaos. And a lot of the time, like a plate track, that comes down to a bit of luck. Ryan Luza got out in front, and he really never looked back.
Yeah, we have to look to Luza to be one of the forefronts for the rest of the season as well to get the win week in and week out. Another mark in the belt of iRacing that we have to look at for it being a progressive move forward is that we also saw some World of Outlaws action on Wednesday. We saw Cup Series drivers from the NASCAR Cup Series like Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson participate in that one. A really good thing for iRacing to add another series that we can now watch during the week.
It was a ton of fun. I know I tuned in. It was certainly cool to hear Johnny Gibson with, Adam Alexander, Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon, and Larson was on the rig at the Fox studio. They had done a couple of these World of Outlaws events just streamed online in the last few weeks. And obviously, I think with the success of the Pro Invitational stuff and the success of those events, Fox wanted to jump on board, and it was great. Listen, dirt racing is something that fans have been wanting. You mentioned the NASCAR guys. We had them mixed in with the World of Outlaws regulars as well. We had Ron Capps was in that one. he's been like a tour de force. He's been in everything this week. So it was really fun to see, this mix of different drivers get in. And of course, we saw Christopher Bell win in the NOS Energy Sprint Cars. And then Trey Ivey took his 88 to late model to victory lane as well for the Morton Buildings second half of the broadcast. So, I mean, that was a ton of fun. We kind of alluded to it when we did the first one of these a few weeks back, that there's a lot in the works. And I think everybody's now starting to see kind of all the hard work that everybody back at NASCAR and with the World of Outlaws and iRacing have been putting in to bring content. And when you can get those big names in, it makes for a good show. And they did not disappoint. That was a really good event.
Yeah, iRacing has definitely been working around the clock. And in my book, more racing, the better. So we'll take it. Evan, I want you to stick around, however, because I'm going to have you back at the end of the show so we can get ready for Bristol coming up on Sunday.
Sounds good.
So we saw all of the action on Tuesday night at Bristol in the Coca-Cola iRacing Series, but now we're switching over to the Pro Invitational Series, and it's going to take place Sunday on the short track of the Last Great Coliseum. And what better way to get us started previewing that race for Sunday than the guy who's actually going to help start the race. He's serving as one of the grand marshals for that race on Sunday at Bristol. Mojo, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. I'm hyped up. We got a big week ahead, and I can't wait to get started with it.
Now, it's going to be you and your friend Gronk calling and being the grand marshals for the race on Sunday. Have you guys practiced or done any type of rehearsal? Because this is a big deal for our world.
Yeah, we've been practicing. We've been keeping the vocal cords warm, trying not to scream too much, which is a tremendous difficulty for us because we're so crazy and off the walls. But yeah, it's going to be a big week, and we're ready. We're ready. We're bringing all the energy in the world.
Yeah, drink a lot of tea. Keep your, you have to practice and keep your vocal cords ready for it.
That's right.
Now, have you done any type of iRacing, seen any of the races? What's your experience like with iRacing?
Well, I think it's going to be real different. It's really exciting. I think it's something to give people a lot to look forward to, especially at a time when people really need something to look forward to right now. But it's just kind of like a different take on it, and it's a really cool thing. I grew up as a racing fan with my dad. My dad might be the biggest racing fan on the planet, so I went to some races with him as a kid, and it's cool. And now fast forward years later, and Grand Marshal, man, this is exciting. I'm pretty hyped, but he might be more jealous than I am hyped, if that's possible.
Yeah, well, we're hyped to hear it. We know that it's going to be a good one, but I want to talk about yours and Gronk's relationship because you have very similar personalities. I know that Gronk, hosts WWE, and you're obviously a champion in it, but what is that relationship like? And I want to know who talks more because I know that both of y'all like to talk a lot. So who gets the upper hand when it comes to talking?
I think either of us will tell you that one is. So, of course, I think I do. Obviously, I'm way better at it, in my opinion. But no, this has been a deal we've been working on for a very long time. I mean, Rob's dad was the one that got me my job with the WWE. He was college roommates with Mike Rotunda, who's one of our coaches back in college at Syracuse. And they kind of made the intro there. And then I got my foot in the door, and the rest was history. But from the day I started, we had kind of been joking with Rob, like, yo, how long until, you leave football and you come to the ring? And, now we're finally here. He's going to be hosting. It's just going to be really exciting, man. We're finally getting this deal done. It's a long time coming.
So before I let you go, we obviously have to talk about your world because Wrestlemania is coming up, and it's not just going to be one night. It's now too big for one night. We're going to have it for the first time ever. It's going to be a 2-night event. Streaming on Saturday, April 4th and Sunday, April 5th at 7 p.m. on WWE Network and available on pay-per-view. So I want to know, what do we have in store for Wrestlemania, because that is always a good time.
Well, you know what? Wrestlemania is the biggest event of the year for us. I mean, all roads lead to Wrestlemania. I mean, we build this all year long, and it's going to be a big one. But I got to say, I don't know if I've ever been more excited for a WrestleMania. And every year it's a big sold out stadium and we have like just the craziest matches ever. Well, this time there's no live audience, it's just us. And to put on a show of that magnitude with no fans in the stands but still have everyone this excited about it, I mean, I think that's quite an accomplishment. Now you pair that with the fact that my boy's the host. I mean, this is a double whammy right now. I'm super hyped about it, but first ever 2-day event. So it's a lot to be pumped up for.
I know that we're excited because it allows us something else to watch and some normalcy back in our life that WrestleMania is still going to happen. But before we go, I want to play a little game with you if you're up for it. I know that you're always up for a challenge. So we're going to do a little bit of, is it NASCAR or is it WWE? So I'm going to throw out a nickname, and I want you to tell me if you think it's a NASCAR driver's nickname or a WWE's wrestler's nickname.
Okay, bring it on.
Let's see how you do. All right, if I say Rowdy, which one is that one?
Rally?
Rowdy. R-O-W-D.
Oh, Rowdy. Oh, yeah. WWE.
No. NASCAR.
Rowdy?
Yes.
Roddy Piper, baby.
Okay, we can share that one. Kyle Busch.
Yeah, we can share that one. I was about to say, you can't take Roddy Piper from us. We can't have that.
Yeah, we'll share. But I don't know if Kyle Busch can claim actually being a 24/7 champion like you are, because you have 6 of them. He has 1. He likes to tell us that all the time, but I don't know if that's quite the same as yours. Okay.
Well, first of all, Kyle Busch, we're a big fan of Kyle Busch in the WWE. You know, we feel like he's one of us. He's a former champion. Again, he's one of my dad's favorites too, which is pretty cool. By the way, he's totally in the other room right now, like eavesdropping, like trying to see what's going on right now. I keep trying to tell him to go sit down, but
tell Dad hello. Okay.
Dad, they say hi.
If I say Fireball Roberts.
What's that?
Fireball Roberts.
Y'all.
I like it. Even threw the y'all in there. Perfect. That's right. Glenn Fireball Roberts, for those of you that don't know. Okay, the animal.
The animal. Us.
Yes. Do you know who it is?
George the Animal Steel, baby.
Okay.
Oh, we're just going all over the time. We're going all over time periods with this one. I don't know, man. I might have to cut myself off. I'm 3 for 3, man. I don't know. I don't want to tarnish my record here.
All right, a couple more. The Onion.
The Onion. That's y'all.
Yes, that is Todd Bodine is the Onion. Okay, next up is the Brain.
Oh, okay, cool. Bobby the Brain Heenan. Now, you had me worried for a second. I'm 5 for 5, 100%. And that's how WrestleMania is going to be this weekend, 100% turned up.
I have 2 more for you. Let's see if you can go 7 for 7. The Iceman.
Oh, gosh, you just keep adding on. You're killing me right now.
The Iceman is the next one.
What's that?
The Iceman.
The Iceman. Y'all.
Yep, 6 for 6.
What's that?
All right.
6 for 6, that's right.
Last one I have for you. The Mouth of the South.
The Mouth of the South is us all the way, because he's a good friend of mine. He carries around a big megaphone. And with that megaphone, he's almost as loud as I am. So 7 for 7, baby.
Exactly. Well, we are excited. We'll be tuning in on Saturday, April 4th and Sunday, April 5th for WWE WrestleMania. It's going to be a good show. And we're looking forward to you calling the race to being the Grand Marshal on Sunday. We're excited.
Oh, yeah. We're all kinds of hyped up. I got to call Rob after this. We got to practice. We got to rehearse. We don't want to look like fools, because if I look like a chump while I'm doing this, my dad might not let me come home. So I gotta do this thing right.
Let him know that you're my pick for the call. So whatever that
means.
All right, Mojo. Appreciate you, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's going to be great.
So we heard from one of the guys that's going to start the race, but I now need to bring back in Evan, my iRacing insider, to get us hooked and ready to go racing at Bristol Motor Speedway. Evan, I have to talk to you about this new format, because Bristol Motor Speedway is getting a little bit different of a look for these races. We're racing on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it is. It's super fun. Last week we saw the qualifier, and we've had that the last 2 weeks to try to get some of those Xfinity and truck guys into the main event. But there's just so many drivers from the highest of NASCAR ranks down to the local levels that want to get involved that we've added a whole extra night of action. So we're going to go actually racing at Saturday Night Thunder this Saturday. You can watch it eNASCAR.com/live. And we're going to be using the ARCA Menard Series cars at Bristol. So that's going to be your Xfinity drivers, your Cup drivers, Peak Mexico, Wheel and Euro Series. I mean, everybody that you can think of that wants to get involved in that. So it's not just one night of racing under the lights at Bristol. It is 2, but that new format also carries over to Sunday. You mentioned Bristol. a little racetrack, a lot of cars. So we're going to be doing heat racing to actually set the field for Sunday. So everybody's going to have to go in. They're going to put down a qualifying time, and then we'll split them into 2 heat races, evens in one and odds in the left, and we'll split it down the middle. And we're going to go racing for 50-lap heat races, no cautions. Now, these heat races are what's going to be used to set the field for the main event. That's going to be 150 laps. So there is good news if you're a little bit worried, is nobody's actually going to get sent home during these heat races. The field's already set at that point. It's just like a Daytona duel, if you will. That's how we're going to set the show for the main event, bringing that short track element into kind of the short track on the big stage.
Nothing like getting some tempers already flared up before we even get into the big action on Sunday. So I love it. What can we expect? Because this is the first short track that we've ran in the Pro Invitational Series. So does it favor the guys who are more inclined to iRacing and have more experience on that? Or does it favor the actual Cup drivers who may not have more iRacing experience?
Well, and it's funny because we talked about the difference between Homestead and Texas last week, and I said that Texas was a little bit more open, a little more wide open. I think that those NASCAR Cup guys who are new to the service could actually kind of hold their own, and they did. But in the end, it was still Timmy Hill up there and William Byron and those guys, and I think Bristol actually amplifies that a little bit more. These guys can figure out how to run the high side at Bristol on the service, which is kind of where you want to be. You don't want to get pinned down on the bottom. And I think just dealing with that much traffic in the sim is really going to benefit those guys. Chaos is going to break out, and it may just very well become a survival of the fittest.
Well, you mentioned that it's hard to pinpoint who's going to win, but I'm going to make you do that. Let's check out your power rankings and see who you think is going to make it to victory lane.
So I think that to kind of take the cop-out answer is you have to keep William Byron number 1, and that's just because of the sim time. And we mentioned, using your Coca-Cola iRacing Series drivers as resources. So you've got Hamlin and Byron and Parker Clearman kind of all in that same mix. But there's also some of the short track guys that have been doing well as well. And this, doesn't just apply to Sunday, but for Saturday, getting a lot of these drivers involved, seeing the Alex LeBays win, and Ryan Preece has been running good. Mm-hmm. So I would put like a William Byron 1, I'd put a Denny Hamlin / Garrett Smithley number 2, and then everybody else third out of back. And I know that's not a really good answer, but it's Bristol. I mean, you can put in 1,000 laps of practice on the sim, today to get ready for that event. You could have 1,000 laps at Bristol in your iRacing career. The single car speed really doesn't matter. This is going to come down to navigating traffic, staying out of trouble. And I think that maybe somebody who doesn't have that flashy speed, but is just a little bit more consistent and maybe even conservative in saving their equipment, is going to find themselves in the right place at the right time, top 5, top 3 late. And then that's kind of when they got to put the hammer down and figure it out. So I'm not sure how much expertise I could bring to the picture here in Bristol, besides just kind of wiping my hands of any responsibility and saying it's Bristol. You have to tune in Sunday afternoon on Fox to find out.
NASCAR announced a slate of new fantasy and prop betting offerings on the eNASCAR iRacing.com Pro Invitational Series, created courtesy of NASCAR's official gaming partner, Penn Interactive. The Finish Line app is being relaunched to include eNASCAR Contest. The newly relaunched eNASCAR Finish Line mobile game is available now across iOS and Android phones and tablets and can be downloaded on the App Store and Google Play Store. Players can win a $5,000 jackpot by accurately predicting the top 2 finishers and the highest finishers across 6 different groupings of 4 drivers. So now that we have heard that you can win some money on here, we've heard who's going to be the best at power rankings. Evan, I want to play a little over and under as our favorite part of last week's show, so I brought it back.
Well, I embarrassed myself last week, I think.
No,
I mean, it was maybe 50-50 or so. I wasn't bad, so we'll see if we can kind of improve on that.
Well, I'm going to make you be on the hot seat because I'm just going to make you answer all of these. So over under, we'll see 10 cautions this weekend. I'll give my answer first because I said it earlier in the show. I think we're going over.
The only thing that would give me pause is that it's 150 laps, and you can, by the time you get so many pace laps out of the way, there's only so much left, but I'll agree. I'll say over on that one.
Okay. Next up, 3 intentional wrecks at Bristol. We might have seen one last week at Texas Motor Speedway. Can we see more this weekend?
I think that we're going to see probably a dozen intentional wrecks, but we're only going to be able to notice about 4. I think these guys are pretty good at Bristol of trying to make it look like I just bumped them a little bit too hard. I don't think it's going to be somebody cleaning somebody else. So I think we'll know what was happening, and I'll agree, and I'll say over.
Last one, Dale Jr. will finish 10th at Bristol, over or under?
I'm going to go for the under, and I just feel like it's going to be bad luck. I don't like that's the thing. You can have the speed and you can run well, but 50 to 75% of the fast cars are probably going to get torn up. So I hope for Dale's sake I'm wrong, and maybe this is the one that I'm off on, but I'm going to go for the under.
Well, we never can know what's going to come from Bristol. But, Evan, I hear you guys have a pretty cool deal just signed with NBC. What's coming up?
Yeah, we've been working the last week with NBC to bring a lot of iRacing content to everybody next weekend. Actually, because everybody at iRacing has been so busy, I've been the virtual guy in the tower trying to organize this event. And we've got 18 really good NASCAR drivers from the Cup Series and the Xfinity Series that are going to be taking place in our NBC Esports Short Track iRacing Challenge. So next week on NASCAR on NBC and on NBCSN, you're going to be seeing a lot of action with NBC's Racing Week in America. But make sure you tune in at 7 o'clock Eastern, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We've split those 18 drivers up into groups of 6. So the first group's going to go racing at Rockingham on Monday. Tuesday, they're going to be at Indianapolis Raceway Park or Lucas Oil Raceway. And then Wednesday, we're going to Myrtle Beach as well. We're picking the top finishers from all those heat races to race Thursday at Martinsville for kind of our de facto championship. It's going to be a ton of fun. I know that with NBC, the cool thing with iRacing is last year we did kind of a Coca-Cola iRacing Series all-star race at Rockingham. Fans love seeing those combinations of, the Cup cars back at Rockingham and bringing them back to some of those short tracks. So it should really be a ton of fun. A big thanks to all of the drivers who are going to participate in it with us. And make sure you tune in with us on Monday night at 7.
All right, we will be tuning in. If you keep filling my days with racing, I'm all for it. So the big show on Sunday is the eNASCAR Pro Invitational Series coming up from Bristol Motor Speedway. It's our first short track. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be a heck of a show. That's coming up at 1 p.m. on Sunday on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. Tune in, and we'll see you guys next week.